Welcome back, everyone, to Part 14 of our 15-part Interventional Radiology Coding Masterclass. Over the last few sessions, we've covered a massive amount of theory regarding vascular families and catheter selections. But today, this explainer transitions from foundational theory over to real-world clinical operative documentation. We're going to see exactly how we extract this information to build our final code strings.
Here's a quick look at our agenda for today. We'll welcome you to Part 14, jump straight into our clinical scenario presentation, trace the catheter placement step by step, break down the radiological imaging, summarize our final CPT codes, and end with a quick teaser for Part 15.
Section 1. Welcome to Part 14, Practical Case Study 1. Section 2. Clinical Scenario, Visualizing the Journey.
You know, in interventional radiology coding, your absolute best friend is spatial visualization. Seriously, just close your eyes for a second and picture the catheter. Our operative report begins with the patient in the angio suite. After prep and local anesthesia, the physician establishes access in the right common femoral artery. A guide wire and catheter are threaded in. So right here, this is our starting line.
Now, let's track the movement. For the first major step, the catheter is advanced from that right femoral access point straight upward into the abdominal aorta. At this central location, contrast is injected and imaging of the abdominal aorta is actually performed. So we are starting central and non-selective before branching out.
Moving forward, the physician doesn't just stop in the aorta. The catheter is maneuvered up and over the aortic bifurcation, dropping down into the contralateral side, specifically the left common iliac artery. Contrast is injected again, and imaging is performed for the entire left lower extremity. We're capturing everything all the way down to the foot.
Finally, the physician requires an even closer look. So the catheter is advanced further down the leg, selectively moving into the left superficial femoral artery, or SFA. From this distal position, additional selective imaging is obtained to thoroughly evaluate the tibial vessels. And that, right there, is the end of the line for our catheter.
Section 3. Tracing Catheter Placement Codes.
Okay, let's translate that physical journey we just took into actual CPT codes. Tracing the path systematically, we started right femoral. The move into the aorta, well, that's non-selective. Crossing over into the left common iliac becomes our first order selection. Passing through the left external iliac makes it a second order. And finally, coming to rest in the left superficial femoral artery constitutes a third order selection.
Now here is our golden rule for catheter placement. We always bundle the intermediate accesses and lesser selections. You do not separately code the jump into the aorta or that quick stop in the common iliac. You only code the highest final selective order reached below the diaphragm within that specific vascular family.
So, following that strict bundling rule, because our final placement is the third order left superficial femoral artery, we report a single code for all of that physical work. 36247. Just one code neatly wraps up all that complex physical navigation. Pretty neat, right?
Section 4. Imaging Breakdown, Radiological S&I Codes.
With the physical placement accurately coded, let's break down the radiological supervision and interpretation, or S&I codes. In our scenario, we actually had two distinct types of diagnostic imaging, an initial non-selective central study and later a selective vascular family imaging study. We have to report these based on exactly where the catheter was located during the injection.
Let's look at the first imaging step, which perfectly illustrates why tracking the catheter is so incredibly vital. When initially advanced into the abdominal aorta, contrast was injected to evaluate the aorta itself. For that non-selective diagnostic imaging, we assign code 75625 for an abdominal aortogram.
Next, from the left common iliac artery, images were taken of the entire left lower extremity, all the way down to the foot. This is a complete diagnostic study of one leg. Therefore, we report 75710. And critically, we absolutely must append the LT modifier to indicate this study was performed exclusively on the left side.
But wait, we aren't quite finished yet. The physician advanced deeper into the left SFA to evaluate the tibial vessels. Because this was an additional selective imaging sequence performed from a new, more distal catheter position just to evaluate a specific area in greater detail, we report the selective follow-up angiogram code, 75774.
Section 5. Final CPT Summary, building the code string.
You know, building an IR coding string is honestly like assembling a giant puzzle. Every single piece has to fit logically. So here is our perfectly sequenced final CPT code string. We have 36247 for the ultimate third-order physical placement, 75625 for the central aortogram, 75710 LT for the primary diagnostic study of the left leg, and finally 75774 for that extra highly selective tibial imaging. It's a complete, fully compliant reflection of the physician's work.
Section 6, teaser for Part 15, What's Next?
That completely wraps up Case 1, proving that spatial visualization is the key to conquering complex IR reports. But hey, we are just getting started. Join me in Part 15 as we raise the stakes significantly. We're going to untangle the intense complexities of a multi-branch procedure within the visceral celiac axis, which will definitely test everything you've learned so far.
I mean, if a single leg study took 4 different codes to accurately document, just imagine the coding puzzle waiting for us in an entire multi-branch visceral network. You definitely won't want to miss that one. Thank you for watching, and keep learning with Decode Healthcare with Harshal.